She's basically the LeBron James. The kind of hype that LeBron came into the NBA with, Caitlin Clark came to the WNBA with the same type of hype. And she's backed it up.
Caitlin Clark changed the WNBA. It's okay. It's okay to say that. You're not diminishing what the founding, fathers of the WNBA did. You're not.
Caitlin Clark has gotten basketball legends like Shaquille O'Neal, Larry Bird, and Michael Jordan talking like never before. The way she plays the game has caught everyone's attention, and it all starts with Allen Iverson, who sees a lot of himself in how Clark plays. Iverson sees the same fire in Clark that he had during his playing days. He loves how she scores at will and makes defenders look silly, just like he used to do. Even though she's not the biggest or strongest player on the court, Clark commands respect through pure skill. Iverson believes she's only going to get better from here.
Man, shoot the blood out of the ball. You know what I mean? I never seen anything like it. You know what I mean? And then just how aggressive she is, and not just scoring in basketball, getting her teammates involved as well. I think she's so great for the game.
If you think that's impressive, wait until you hear what Magic Johnson had to say about Clark's potential. Magic Johnson thinks Clark could become the greatest WNBA player ever. He loves how her rivalry with Angel Reese reminds him of his battles with Larry Bird.
Let me ask you about these WNBA players, Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark, who many are saying are the Larry Bird and Magic Johnson of the WNBA. Do you like that when you hear that?
I like it, and they are.
He went on to speak about how Clark's teammates have a responsibility to shield her from bullies in the WNBA next season.
Now, Caitlin, her teammates got to come to her defense.
Sure.
You can't allow her to have to fight every battle.
But here's where things get really interesting. The numbers behind Clark's impact will blow your mind. Former NBA coach George Karl made a huge statement when he compared Clark to Julius Dr. J. Irving. He thinks she could change the WNBA just like Dr. J changed the ABA and NBA. The numbers back this up. Clark and the Indiana Fever drew bigger crowds than 3 NBA teams: the Charlotte Hornets, Memphis Grizzlies, and Washington Wizards. When the Fever played away games, teams saw huge jumps in attendance. The Atlanta Dreams crowd grew by 431%. The Washington Mystics saw a 311% increase, and the Minnesota Lynx got 131% more fans. Even big market teams like the Los Angeles Sparks and Seattle Storm saw their crowds grow by 60 to 80% when Clark came to town. It's no longer a surprise at this point, because Caitlin Clark is a generational talent. Victor Wembanyama, who knows a thing or two about living up to the hype, couldn't help but tip his hat to Clark after her amazing rookie season. Who was called the best NBA prospect since LeBron James, watched Clark handle the pressure like a pro and win Rookie of the Year unanimously, just like he did.
Victor, who's a WNBA player that inspires you, and what makes her stand out to you?
I think Caitlin Clark.
Finds Clark from the logo. Clark behind the back. Oh, it's Smith with the finish.
When she was in college, the only college player that I was really in awe of the game,
Pulls it back, knocks it down.
I'm saying men and women's college basketball, she's probably the most impressive I've seen.
But perhaps the most powerful praise came from someone who used to be Clark's biggest rival, Coach Kim Mulkey, who had to face Clark twice in the NCAA tournament and saw firsthand just how special she is. After Clark dropped 41 points against Mulkey's LSU team in the Elite Eight, Mulkey said something that really shows how good Clark is. "Thank goodness I don't have to see you anymore."
I can describe it firsthand. Having played her 2 years in a row in the playoffs, she's a generational talent. She's a young lady that you just can't take your eyes off of when you watch her play. And I know all of Iowa is proud of her, as they should be. And
coming from a legendary coach like Mulkey, that's about as big a compliment as you can get. From Mulkey's enthusiastic endorsement, we find Rashad McCants, a former NBA player who played for the Minnesota Timberwolves. McCants has been cheering for Clark since day one, ever since she was picked first in the WNBA draft. When people were talking about the MVP race, McCants was right there saying, they're gonna respect her whether they like it or not. Even after Aja Wilson won MVP, McCants kept celebrating everything Clark did, always saying this was just the beginning.
Definitely Caitlin. And there's no shade to Angel. It's just what Caitlin has to face on a nightly basis of like them trying to stop
Number
her.
one on scattering
Like
yes.
She can't get equal opportunity as everyone else, because then she would average, I think she would average 25, 26 a game, because you're not trying to gear the scouting report to stop her. Like Angel Reese, I feel like they're not giving her as much of a strenuous assignment when it comes to scouting report because she's going to do what she does. She rebounds. It's hard to stop somebody.
But here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. Charles Barkley played collegiate basketball for the Auburn Tigers, loves how Clark handles herself both on and off the court. He's noticed some jealousy from others as Clark entered the WNBA, but he's quick to defend her. Watch as he sends out a message to Clark's haters in the WNBA.
You women out there, y'all petty, man. Hey, LeBron, you're 100% right on these girls hating on Caitlin Clark. Y'all petty, girls. I expect men to be petty because we're the most insecure group in the world.
Rick Barry himself didn't hold back when defending Clark. He called out anyone disrespecting her game, making it clear that Caitlin's immense talent should be celebrated, not undermined. He also made an important point about how the league needs to take stronger measures to protect her from hard fouls.
I think it's reprehensible what they're allowing some of these players. Anybody that does something flagrant to this young lady for what she's brought to the game should be suspended and fined big time for doing that. Think about it, y'all. I mean,
Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce couldn't stop talking about Clark on their podcast. Garnett said something that really stands out. This is the first time in college basketball where I know more girls than guys. She could go right through any hood and get a bucket. She'd get you more than 10 points in an NBA game. She can shoot, and she's got the skills. Stephen A. Smith had Clark's back too, praising not just her game, but how she represents basketball. On his show, Smith put it straight, explaining how Clark has brought everyone together. She looked out for everybody else. That's who Caitlin Clark is. That's why white, black, or otherwise, that's why I call her a sister, because she looked out for the sisters and everybody else in between.
Oh, by the way, still stupid, a Team USA to not have on a team. You want to grow women's basketball globally? How do you have an Olympics competition this year without Caitlin Clark on it? I called you fools then, and one of these days you're going to fess up and admit we were damn fools for not having Caitlin Clark on the 2024 Team USA Olympic team.
What makes Clark special is how she plays. She shoots from way downtown and makes passes that leave everyone amazed. Coaches say she's changing how teams play defense, kind of like how Steph Curry changed the NBA. When she pulls up from the logo, defenders don't know what to do. We've spoken before about how the numbers tell the story of Clark's impact. Now let's talk about that a bit more. Her jersey sold more than any rookie in WNBA history. The Fever's social media blew up, getting as much attention as some NBA teams. When Clark played on TV, the ratings went through the roof. Needless to say, Clark has been great for business. The whole WNBA is selling more merchandise, and companies are lining up to work with women's basketball like never before. Some people say Clark has helped the WNBA grow faster by several years, and that is true. Larry Bird, who knows a thing or two about Indiana basketball, loves what Clark brings to his home state. He says she's got the whole state excited about basketball again, and he really likes how she respects the history of the game. Young players everywhere want to be like Clark. Coaches say kids, both boys and girls, are trying to copy her logo threes. Everyone's practicing those long three-pointers and quick releases that Clark is famous for. NBA players notice this and say it shows just how much she's changing basketball culture. Time magazine named Clark their Athlete of the Year, putting her in the same company as Simone Biles, Lionel Messi, and LeBron James. That's pretty good company to keep. Clark has stayed real. All the basketball legends who meet her say the same thing. She just loves playing basketball and wants to keep getting better. She handles fame as well as anyone who's gotten this big this fast. Even Shaquille O'Neal came around. Shaq used to be skeptical, especially since he's close friends with Angel Reese.
So Shaq was asked about Caitlin Clark's Time Athlete of the Year award, and he must have got the script wrong because he credited everybody.
But after seeing Clark win Time's Athlete of the Year, even the Big Diesel had to give it up. Congratulations to her, she's a fabulous player. Looking ahead to 2025, Clark is focused on winning with the Fever. After helping them make the playoffs for the first time since 2016, she wants more. She's not satisfied with just making the playoffs. She wants a championship.
What's your goal for this next chapter when you look out to the next year?
Oh gosh, I think that's hard. I think obviously I want to be a WNBA champion one day. I want to be an Olympic gold medalist one day. I think those are all goals that I've wanted since I was a young girl, that I wrote down on a piece of paper. So I think those are the biggest things. And you know, nobody said they're going to happen right away when I first entered the league. I think just learning, working hard, you know, going to a franchise and helping elevate women's basketball more than anything. But like, don't lose the fun and the passion of the game. Like that's the reason I've always played, and continuing to bring that with me.
The numbers don't lie. Clark finished 4th in MVP voting as a rookie, made the All-WNBA first team and the All-Rookie team. But more than the stats, it's how she's changed the game that matters. With basketball legends singing her praises and fans packing arenas to see her play, Caitlin Clark isn't just living up to the hype. She's creating a whole new level of what's possible in women's basketball. But it's not just the big names who are talking about Clark. NBA players who weren't even that interested in women's basketball before are now tuning in to watch her play. Take what former NBA champion Rick Fox said, "I'm watching WNBA games I'd never planned to watch, just to see this young lady work her magic. She's got that special something that makes you stop what you're doing and pay attention." The impact on kids has been huge too. Youth basketball coaches say enrollment in girls' basketball programs has shot up since Clark hit the scene. One coach in Indiana said his girls' program doubled in size, with young players showing up wearing Clark's number 22 and trying those deep three-pointers she's famous for. Looking ahead, people aren't just excited about what Clark can do next year. They're talking about how she might change the whole future of women's basketball. Some say she could be the first WNBA player to get a signature shoe deal as big as NBA stars. Others think she might help the WNBA add new teams because so many cities want to see her play. Click here to watch what Larry Bird, Steph Curry, and Steve Kerr had to say about Caitlin Clark. Thanks for watching.